Those days that you don't want to do anything, where you're too tired, too sore, you just don't feel like it, those days, those are the days that count. When you have those feelings, it's even more important to step up and get some. If you got something to do, don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't do that. Don't voluntarily do anything tomorrow that you should be getting done today. Get it done today. Don't wait. Attack it, destroy it, and move on.
Every single day when you wake up, you got two options. You can look at the clock and hit the snooze. You can look at that snooze button, boom. You can hit the snooze button and go back to bed and dream about what you want to have. Or you can look at that snooze button, kick that clock, and get up and go pursue.
Hey guys, it's Colt from Coyote Academy. I had some kind of thoughts about doing a little drag video and kind of showing you my whole drag setup and this and that and some of the things that I use and why I do what I do. And you know, I don't want to just sit here and have like a talking head and go over all this with you. I also want to kind of show the application of it. So, you know, we'll kind of briefly touch base here with what I'm using and why I'm using it, and then we'll go out into the field and kind of expand upon that. So let's get into it, guys. My whole philosophy is, you know, if you're going to be quick and efficient, you need to have every tool, and you need to be very proficient with every tool or every trick you have up your sleeve or everything that's in your arsenal. And one thing that's in my arsenal is using drags, and especially when the ground is terrible, you know, if it's like real hard frozen ground, and I know I can get this kind of wrapped up and maybe tangled into some small saplings or something like that. You know, my whole old setup was just kind of a pretty much simple, maybe like a 1 pound, 1.5 pounds here. And then I still run the 10 foot of chain. Number 2 chain is what I prefer to run. And then I've kind of gotten to like the heavier duty style drags. And then I even run like the Primos that like Hammer from Hammer Trapline. The guy from Pennsylvania, he makes those, and it's a really, really good drag. To segue back into some of the reasons why I've used a drag, you know, if I'm wanting to hide my targeted catch, or like, you know, if I'm trapping coyotes and I know I'm, you know, my competition's maybe close by, or maybe there's a lot of traffic on that 2-track or out by that field or whatever it is, so I can hide my catch. Can save the integrity of the set. So once they get in the trap, they pretty much want to get away from that area as quick as possible, so you don't get that big burn circle. So it's definitely a huge bonus, honestly, for me. And it's actually pretty quick. You know, and I guess the negative of that is you just have more weight. So instead of like a cable anchor or a cable stake, you know, that weighs a lot less than this whole setup. So there are some gives and takes, pros and cons to the whole you know, exchange of this over that. As for how I do everything, you know, I have just the number 2 chain, and I will anchor that off. Like, I will have that staked into where my trap is, and then I'll have that ran about 10 foot away, and I'll just run it like I do, like you would on a beaver. So you just have them slide down, and then they can't work their way back up the chain. So you can also hide them that way if you're not too keen, or, you know, maybe putting a drag in the middle of a field with nothing around to tangle up on isn't ideal, but there's a nice little piece of like hedgerow or brush that you could probably get them tucked into. It might be a good you know, exchange for just anchoring them down. But at that point, I think, honestly, I'm just going to cable stake them and say, screw it. Unless I'm in dire straits that I have to have this coyote and I have to have it hidden, or for whatever reason. Yeah, the Hags bracket works really well. I will show kind of how I would set that up, and really, it's super simple with kind of everything I want to do. Just add that to that. Then you're going to lock this down, and then the Hags will slide right over top of that. So, pretty sweet. And then whenever you would run this through, you'd want to run it. So this would be at your spot. And whenever they take off, you know, they're pulling the trap this way. And this is going to slide down. But when they go to pull the trap back up this way, it's going to lock on them. So it's a really good tool to have, honestly. And now one thing I wanted to go over with too is, as a little bonus, is whenever you are setting up your swivels, and these are the boxes for your swivels. These are actually your swivels. So you have 1, 2 points for swivels. So you would have 2 points here, 2 swivel points here, and 1 box, just as an added. But if you were going to put this side, okay, see how the difference is here? This is what you want. That is what you don't want. And the reason I tell you that is some people, you know, and it's very, very easy to just take your stake and slide it through like this, and then have this in the ground. Well, what's the problem here with this? And I know you probably see it right off the rip. These are not welded together. These are not tacked together. So these can come apart, unfold, pop open. That's not how you want to have it. How you would want to have it if you were going to run this without, is you want to have this as towards the trap side. You want to have your 2 slots towards the trap side, and then that way you can run a stake through this without anything else attached to it, and then you don't have anything worried or any worry that this is going to pop open, this is going to come open on you. So this is the way you want it, and this would be the way you don't want it. Now, it doesn't really matter or give 2 damns if you put another one of these through, because this ultimately locks everything into place. So at that point, it doesn't matter, but I think it's a good practice if you are kind of building and retooling your own traps. Definitely make sure you're doing them all the same way. I mean, I know it's kind of nitpicky, but that's what I would recommend. And then this is just one of the very first drags that I really set up, and it's on a trap that I actually modified. So if anyone is interested in seeing some modification videos, just basically a Bridger. This was a Bridger dog-on trap, as you can tell with the post here. But it was one of their like subpar weld jobs, I guess is what they said, and they sold them for cheap. So I bought these. I took the pan off, put a posi-trip pan on it. What's nice is it comes out of the post here, and then all you have to do is take this new pan and crimp that onto your spring keeper. And then I took this your standard rod style dog. You can buy all these parts. I bought them all from NTP or Schmidt Enterprise. And then you have that set up. This is a solid trap. They already come base plated. Anything else I would do is either bubble tip. And someone asked me about bubble tipping. That's just taking the tip of your welder and putting a gob of, just a little bit of extra metal right here, so these cannot pop through this hole. Because if these pop through this hole, ultimately your trap is not locked in place anymore. You're going to probably lose your catch. So you either hook them, get you a pair of channel locks or vice grips, hook them and bend them up. But as I said before, when you bend these up, you are going to lose jaw width spread. So if it's if every inch or every little bit counts for you, then that's something to keep in mind. So if you wanted to just bubble tip these with a little bit of weld, I think that'd be a huge advantage for a lot of people too moving forward. So if anyone's interested in seeing anything like modifications, or if you want me to go through and do any modifications, I really like doing it hands-on, and I wouldn't mind showing that, at least what I know. So I wouldn't mind showing that. Now, as for the application of all this, let's go out into the field.
Oh my.
What?
Look.
Oh, you're bleeding.
I know, I scratched a mosquito bite.
Okay, so, you know, as for the application of these, and then, you know, I'm going to give another little extra kind of bonus tip that I've been using. You're in a place like this, it's all field. Yeah, just imagine that's not there, okay? But you're in a place and say it's all field, open field, and this is the only timber we have right here, and we want to get them to go to that area. So what I would do, and I'm going to kind of choke up on the chain a little bit, but my trap set would be right here in this area. And then what I'm doing is, let's go down the chain. We got the drag at the end. Well, if you have any of these like just flat or straight walled like kind of stakes, or even like wood that you can stake out or whatever, put these at an angle. You want this to face the angle you want them to go. So I don't want them to be able to go into the field. I only want them to be able to go right here to this area, roughly to this area. It's not bulletproof, but so let's just imagine that they get caught and you know, we got them. Okay, so they're pulling here. They're pulling, you know. And they're running around trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And once they get to the end of that, it releases and it can give them a little bit of, hey, we can go this way. They're freaked out. They don't know what's going on. They just know something's on them and they want to get the hell out of there. And so if you're ever in a pinch where, say, the ground conditions are terrible, shitty as can be, and then say, or maybe you run out of stakes, or maybe you don't have the right equipment, but you do have a drag and you have a trap and you got a great location. If you got just something that can get you firmed up and into the ground and pointed in a certain way, it's nice because, you know, even like this would be more ideal for me. This is more what I would be using now, but they pull, and once they get to go in a certain way, it'll finally slide up and it's going to ramp off and give them a little bit of movement down in there. Let's see, I'm going to anchor this real quick. Now let's just imagine, just for imagination's sakes, so when you put this on, you don't want to put it that way. That'd be, you know, the wrong way. You want it to slide in so that the tongue of this is facing the way you want it to go. So what they would do is you would have this anchored here, you know, and this is something like if you're really wanting to hide or get them off the 2-track because maybe it's a deer lease or maybe it's a public ground and people are coming in and out hunting. You know, you don't want no one shooting your catch, you don't want no one stealing your catch, and you don't want your competition knowing what you're doing. So anyways, we're going to imagine, you know, this is, and then he pulls down, he gets to the end of that, and then he can't come back. So he's locked right here. And I would trust this bracket and this quick connect all day long to hold that. And you know, you get a feel for your equipment and you can start to adjust it or upgrade it or switch it out as needed. I thought, man, some guys were asking me about drags. I'll give you a little bit more info than what, you know, maybe most people would, or I tried to anyways. And if it helps you out, let me know. And if you want to see anything else, or if you had any questions, or maybe I didn't explain something the right way, just let me know and I'll see if I can't do a little bit better next time. And I'll catch you in the next video.